flourishing in a foreign land. Flourishing in a foreign land. Flourishing, having fulfillment and a sense of purpose even when you're in an unfamiliar place. It's easy to flourish in fertile ground. It's easy to have a sense of fulfillment and awareness and purpose as to your value as an individual when you feel as if you are where you should be. Sometimes we can find ourselves in foreign land when we are at a certain point in life chronologically, but we feel as if we should be further ahead. You feel as if you may be in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, and because it's really when you're around 40 and 50 years old when you kind of start taking inventory of your life, and you recall the dreams and the aspirations you had as a young, innocent child. Or maybe in the turbulent years of your teens, you had somewhat mapped out your future. But maybe an unplanned pregnancy, maybe bad decisions in your life, maybe tragedy or something unforeseen somehow detoured you from the course that you had mapped out for yourself. And maybe for 10, 15, 20 years, you have been so embroiled in just surviving and just living that you hadn't paused long enough. And now you're kind of at a point in your life, in that pause, that you're looking around and you've taken inventory of where you are as opposed to where you thought you would be at this point in your life, and it's a foreign land. Before I go further, I just want to make sure, am I talking to anybody today? You know, when you think of where you thought you would be now, you know, you may have lost your house. You know, I can remember at my age, I wanted to own not just a house I'm living in, but I wanted to have multiple properties, preparing to one day be able to not be dependent upon a month-to-month paycheck, but that when I'm 65, I wanted to be in a position to where I can just kind of, you know, anybody know what I'm talking about? And so now you're in your 40s and your 50s, and you got to almost like, it's almost like when you were in your 20s and your 30s in certain areas in your career or your finance. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And to be truthful about it, you don't like it, but you feel powerless to change it. Am I right about it? You feel powerless to change it. It's a foreign land. It's just something about being broke that just don't feel right. I need some real folk to walk with me here. It's just something about it that just doesn't feel right. You know, struggling financially, it just doesn't seem I'm supposed to be here. Is God preaching through me to somebody today? Foreign. Here you are in your 30s, 40s, and thought you'd be further along educationally. And you have a desire maybe to go back to school, but the economic realities may be that you just can't do it right now. So a foreign land is when you have a desire to do something, but you feel as if you are significantly limited in your capacity or ability to move in that direction. Something in you that's just not settled right now. You're like unsettled. Anybody unsettled in the place? It's a foreign. You thought you'd be married by now. You thought you'd be married. You're 25 and you thought, no, I'm just kidding. You thought you'd be married. You're in your 40s. You're in your 50s. And God, I thought I had me somebody. See, ain't nobody going to talk to me here. I thought I'd have me, especially if you tried to do it right. Ain't nobody going to walk with me here. I decided I ain't going to sleep around. I decided I ain't going to compromise. I ain't just going to settle just to have me a man or just to have me a woman. I decided I'm going to do this thing right. And I got a lot to offer. I got a lot to offer somebody. I ain't needy. I got a lot to offer. I ain't talking to nobody in the house today. And I'm mad. I'm frustrated. I'm bottled up because I feel, God, why you give me all this to offer? You put all this in me. You put all this in me. God, I come a complete package. I don't need nobody to complete me. I am complete. I ain't perfect, but I'm complete. I don't need nobody to tell me I love me. They love me. I love myself. But I just got to be real with you, God. This foreign. I got a lot to offer somebody. And I done it right. I done seen a lot of folk ain't done it right. In the church. In the church. I done seen them not doing it. They married now, God. And matter of fact, God, they've been married, divorced, and married again. And I ain't married yet. Are we talking to anybody today? I'm just in a foreign. Why am I sick? I ain't supposed to be sick. Not from this. Not from this. I could understand if my sickness was related to something I did. And what's this stuff doing in my body? The prime of my life. God, it's foreign land. Foreign. Look at somebody, tell them. Look at them just like I'm looking at y'all. Say foreign. Foreign land. So. And there are times when you will find yourself in a foreign land. And to be honest, ain't nothing you can do about it. You can't get out. So if you can't get out, you might as well learn how to flourish. I think I ought to own a house. God. Y'all don't talk to God like that, do you? So I'm going to flourish in my rental property. I'm going to treat it like it's my house. Come on, somebody help me out here. I'm going to flourish right where I am. I'm going to flourish in my 40s, ain't married, and want to be married. Flourish, be fulfilled. I'm going to flourish broke. Y'all say, but didn't nobody say amen. Or y'all grunted, but didn't nobody say amen. I'm a flourish broke. That's what I did when I was a kid. Mama didn't have no money, but we looked good. We flourished on government cheese. We flourished. Look at somebody tell them, we flourish, we flourish. In other words, flourishing is maximizing where you are. And understanding that your potential is not limited based upon the land in which you live. Daniel was not limited because he was living in Babylon. In fact, he didn't reach his potential until he got to Babylon. I need some Bible students with me now. He didn't have the capacity or the ability to reach his full potential when he was in the promised land. He had to be displaced from the promised land and put in an unfamiliar place. And it's in the unfamiliar, if we stop complaining about the unfamiliar and start looking for the reason why I am where I am, then I can flourish right where I am. I can be happier than most married women single. Y'all ain't going to help me out here. Because at least if I'm mad, I ain't mad about what's going on in me and him. At least I just got to deal with me. Come on, somebody else. Tell somebody, I want to learn how to flourish right where I am. Because we have to learn how, I feel this thing. We have to learn how to be faithful over a few things before we can be ruler Before God can trust us with more, we have to be in a capacity and a disposition to where we are grateful right where we are. Or y'all, if you can't go get a manicure, do your own manicure. Okay, let me go back to the text. Flourish now. Because I don't want to walk into promise with an attitude. I don't want to walk into promise rigid and mad and bitter and angry. Because if we're spending so many years in a foreign land angry, in other words, I am not where I know or I think that I should be, but rather than being grateful right where I am, I'm always looking to the other side. I am not in a disposition or a mentality to where I am ready for a move of God in my life. Because I have to learn how to be grateful and thankful right where I am. So God, how can I flourish in a foreign land? Let's go to chapter 2 and see if there are some principles for us in the text. And this is the first thing I want you to write down, is that God will connect, I want you to catch this, God will connect your crisis to your calling. Okay? See, you have to connect where you are to what God has called you to do. Because what God has called you to do is not in the place where it's familiar, but what God has called you to do is right where you are. Daniel's calling was not in the land when they were free, but Daniel's calling was in the land in which they were in bondage. But if we're looking to the land of freedom to fulfill our calling, we're missing the significance of the purpose of the crisis that God has allowed to come into our life to displace us from promise and to put us in an unfamiliar place. So I have to learn how to understand, why am I broke? Why am I in this situation? Why am I dealing with what I am dealing with? Why has God allowed the crisis to come? It's to connect you to your calling. Look at somebody and tell them, get connected.